effort by your Alabama Crimson Tide to advance to the championship game this evening, and good morning.
Hey, good morning. They gave it. Good to see you, by the way. It's been a couple weeks.
You too. Thanks for last Monday. Great work.
No, thank you. I don't know. Still don't understand. Still don't really know what I said. No, Alabama gave it everything. Alabama was. I was very impressed. Very impressed by the effort they gave against UConn.
Yeah.
Which is maybe the best college basketball team I've ever seen.
Really?
I mean, they're incredible.
Yeah.
Donovan Clingan is like Gobert in college form. Mm-hmm. And then they've got all these guys who make shots, who drive the lane.
No doubt.
I mean, and Dan Hurley's screaming on the sideline.
Yeah.
I mean, Dan
Hurley's a little cocky.
I mean, sure.
He's got a little cocksure edge to him, doesn't he?
He's made the championship 2 years in a row. He should probably be a little confident.
Yep, I understand. And I'm not saying overly brash. I don't know enough about him.
He can be.
It's just there was a key moment, where like a 5 went to an 8 at a key time. It was a 3-pointer. Smug look on the face, looks at the crowd, 3 fingers. Come on, bruh. That's how you get punched at coaches' meetings.
Yeah, but he's like a Northeast guy. His whole family's like a bunch of legendary coaches.
Mm-hmm.
I did not think Alabama had any chance to beat them. And there was like 2 8-point UConn leads. Alabama cut into it, and then UConn extended it back out. My dad keeps texting me, they've got to hit 23s. I'm like, that's not going to happen.
Your dad loves Crimson Tide basketball?
He loves the Crimson Tide.
So
everything.
It's all Tuscaloosa all the time.
I mean,
like baseball, the whole thing.
No, not baseball.
Why not? There's nothing else to do in Tuscaloosa or Birmingham.
Yeah.
Except follow the professional sports programs. The collegiate sports programs.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That was pretty good. Baseball, I think the coach got busted for gambling or something on the game.
Oh, wow. That was last year.
Yeah, I believe so.
I remember that.
Yeah, my dad wouldn't support a person like that.
Really?
No, I'm kidding.
Well, but the thing is I thought the guy was cool with everything I read until you read about some under 5-inning totals bet made by Toronto Raptors Jonte Porter.
I always love that.
That's a Mizzou.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I've got connection to all these great people.
Jeez, you're of the salacious variety. Who knew?
Yeah, I know. It's honestly,
glasses are getting fogged.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Come on, man.
Good morning. How you been?
Great, thank you.
Here last week, it was
but like UConn, okay, you said best college basketball team you've ever seen. You're 22 years old. Okay, so you haven't seen a ton. Yeah. You probably have known what you've been looking at outside of those magazines to which you subscribe. I'm talking on television. Right. Actually, I'm talking about sports for 15, 16 years, which means the 75-76 Indiana Hoosiers went 32-0. No,
that's a good team.
You're not going to remember that. How about John Wooden with his UCLA Bruins?
Yeah, I've heard of him. He was a good.
63 to 72-73. He had 4 undefeated teams win the championship.
Yeah, no, trust me, I'm not. This isn't a dig at John Wooden. I'm just telling you, I can only speak for the images that have graced my eyes in front of me.
Basketball was so much different then. You had 5 Diegos running around in super short pants trying to guard Wilt Chamberlain. It was just weird.
Yeah, I'm just saying, UConn's incredible. UConn, watching them has been very impressive. I can't speak to John Wooden's 1964 team, but I'm sure they played hard. They dove on the floor. They took charges. I'm sure.
Well, there are players who played for those teams you never watched because you weren't born.
Right.
But you absolutely will remember Bill Walton.
Yeah, of course. Like Abdul-Jabbar, James Worthy. I don't know.
No, James Worthy, North Carolina. Lou Alcindor.
Yeah.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 67 Bruins, 30-0. Third national championship for my man. And that's about going to do it for YA with the old
I was going to say
North Carolina history piece. UCLA history piece here because there's some names here. I don't know.
Yeah, no. UConn's great, and they play Purdue tonight. Is that tonight?
Mm-hmm. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting matchup. I'm sure I'll watch.
How close will it get, viewership wise, eyeballs wise?
Not close. It's not even.
So what happened yesterday too? It's not going to get close.
It's not going to get close.
That's awesome,
and it shouldn't.
I love that.
And I literally, this is just aesthetics.
Good
on
for
TV.
that girl and good for those women.
100%, but more than that, like, it's just more fun to watch. It's more fluid. There's less fouls. They move more freely.
Yeah.
They look like they care. Like,
I'm not going to say there are fewer fouls, but the refs swallow. And this is FINA, Fairness and 9 to Noon Act.
Right, FINA for sure.
Haven't watched a ton of it, but the refs, the officials, swallow the freaking whistles in the women's game more than I've ever seen them. Now I know we had some controversy at the end of the Iowa-UConn game, and there was a whistle that wasn't swallowed. So now you got an argument. Now you got controversy, which is what's needed to a certain extent to elevate things. A lot of people talking about it from both sides.
Yep.
I mean, there were plays in the key in the last 3 Iowa games that I watched every second, just like Nordo, where I'm like looking at the refs going, ma'am, brah, are you kidding me with this? You didn't blow your whistle?
There were tomahawk chops constantly
Seriously?
inside where if it's the game tonight.
Yeah.
Edie's going to the line, Klingen's going to the line.
yeah.
And,
And
it's
I
just,
don't want to watch that. Like, I don't want.
Right?
It's just so. You're exactly right, Nordo. Cardoza or whatever her name is. She was getting like. I mean, like it was a fist fight.
Yes.
well, that was parents versus kids, man. With Cardoso and Watkins and some of these gals on the inside, Iowa just had no freaking shot.
Right.
They just hold the ball up there, the 6'7".
Yeah.
No chance.
What's the girl's name? Stelky?
Stulkey,
Yeah,
I think is for Iowa.
Iowa,
Yeah. Freshman or whatever?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Great player, yeah.
But that's their big.
Yeah. No, correct.
That's their big. She's phenomenal. She can run the court like the wind, maybe the female version of a new age Robert Parrish back for the Celtics days, one of the best court running centers in the history of the NBA. But then when the rubber meets the road and you got the 6'7" lady, and then the one behind her is tough and tall.
Yep.
Hey, you're in the belly of the beast.
No, okay. Clark would throw these amazing
Incredible
passes inside to Stulkey on the run. You got cuts, you got all this stuff happening, and they just run straight into the freaking brick wall.
Yeah.
No
That's
shot
the thing.
at that.
The Caitlin Clark thing for me, the shooting. I mean, obviously it's great, but the passing.
Yes.
Like, and she uses the bounce pass. The bounce pass was always. I don't know if you guys played much basketball. When I play basketball, like I barely use the bounce pass. You got to be. It's like playing pool when you're shooting it off the edge. I mean, it's really hard, but she uses it.
It's a little flashy.
But
because she's so good at it.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you can, why wouldn't you? I just couldn't, so I never did, and I don't know why I'm even using my basketball career in this conversation.
Well, I was last picked at the YMCA Red Gym in Mankato
because they're because. How am I going to put this? But you bring it up because there are mandates, there are edicts, there are absolute, you can't do this when you learn basketball at a very young age. I played for many years, and I'll never forget the coaches telling me at a very young age, elementary, middle school, you don't pick up your dribble on the baseline and no bounce passing in the key. Remember that?
Yeah.
All she does is throw spinning bounce passes in the key, and we both are compensated to cover football. Talk about football, cover football. She throws players open as well as any basketball player I can remember, and I'm talking about the men too. It's consistently bounce passing in congested areas where there are feet and legs, spinning the ball to get it to the girl. I mean, it's as good as I've ever seen. I'm not lying.
It's the equivalent of Mahomes going across the body. It's like you shouldn't do that, but you let him do it because he doesn't make mistakes.
Yeah, and it's not the equivalent of like Drake May throwing away games and then having Merrill Hodge say, you're the kind of guy that gets people fired. It's the opposite of that.
No, you said it right. The anticipation. I was actually thinking about it yesterday. I'm like, I can't tweet something about her ability to pass the ball and compare it to quarterbacks. That would be the most like nerdy on brand. You can't be doing anything.
Well, it's not nerdy.
Like
No,
it's just not. It's just cliche.
It's 2024. The water's warm. I mean, you put the wrong word. Well, what would perceive to be the wrong approach with a comparison.
Yeah.
Well, you ain't going to be watching any of the game the rest of the day. It's going to be responding to mentions or just deleting the account. That's it. I'm done.
Over.
I'm deleting my account.
The Vikings Twitter right now. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Why?
It's just the passion is just phenomenal.
Vikings, not the @Vikings Twitter.
No, not Zach Royce and the staff over at Negan.
Right. Okay, well, I'm glad you said that, Alec Lewis, Alec_Lewis via Twitter, writes for The Athletic, theathletic.com, and good morning.
Morning.
I'm so glad you said that, because Nordo and I, right before you got here, we were like, whether it's real life hype, like things that matter to you or your family or something, or boxing used to super hyped big time heavyweight fights, or sports in general, when the hypometer goes 10 out of 10, like it did with this girl and like it did with that team, and lives up to it, that is so infrequent that happens that it draws people like Nordo and I or all of us in. Yeah. So now the hypometer for 2 weeks from Thursday, with moving from 11 to get whomever, it's 10 out of 10. And yours truly with Nordo producing on site, Bursich, Lieber, and Paul Charchian.
Charch is going to be.
We're on a big stage, and there are thousands of people there who are going to be expecting something to happen. If it doesn't happen,
oh my God,
I can't even venture a guess what it's going to be like. And I'm talking about myself. I mean, seriously, I'm thinking this thing out a little bit about the reaction if there's not a trade.
Well, I did like last week. I think
prep
I wrote
for a full show just in case. Prep for a full show. I know you already do, but be ready.
I'll be ready.
Last week I did a mock
emotionally
draft, I think, where I had them not trading up. And people,
I started 5 Gmail accounts just to respond to you having the audacity to say, well, what if it doesn't live up to the hype? And what if they can't get up? And what if they stay at 11?
Yeah, I thought it was like a fine scenario to consider, but obviously nobody in their right mind.
Welcome to the Covenant, by the way.
People were, thank you.
Well, no, welcome to the Covenant of Minnesota, because the likable dandelion picking, butterfly chasing YA got savaged at an unprecedented level for the first time in your journalistic career. Welcome to the Covenant.
I don't know if anybody, I don't know if I've ever said this on the air, but I remember like the first couple months I was here, my mom, I don't mention my mom, but she reads some of the stories and she'll go in the comments. First couple months she's here, and the Vikings, like, it was after the Eagles 2022 game and they blow it on Monday night. My mom's like, these people are so mad. Yeah. I was like, I don't really know what's going on either. But
does she still live in Alabama?
She does, yeah.
Okay, well, Mom, with all due respect, might want to open her eyes, because I'm telling you right now, the beat writer for the Crimson Gazette, the Alabama Daily News,
right, Anniston Star,
yeah. If Saban or that Bama football team took a bad loss, what you faced is exponentially less than what writers or coaches or players would face in a market like that, where it's everything, man.
Yeah, mother doesn't really know a ton about the reaction that a person like me would get. But you're exactly right. I cannot imagine doing the show on draft night, whenever that is, and hopefully it's soon, because I cannot stand this time period where we're waiting for it.
Yeah, you can.
I mean, I enjoy it, but I it's such an interesting thing. Like, you see stuff about these quarterbacks everywhere, all on my timeline. I try to keep it understood in my head, and I mean, it's so hard because you're hearing stuff from people you don't know if it's 100%, you don't know if it's 60%, 40%, and it just kind of drives me crazy.
Well, it's subterfuge season. So Merrill Hodge says what Merrill Hodge says.
Where does Merrill Hodge even work now? I don't even know.
No idea. Okay. But nevertheless, it gets run, and when somebody has a definitive statement and a name people quasi-recognize, well, that stuff catches fire in 2024.
Crazy.
It's like I'm looking at Twitter right now, and I'm not going to say the sites, and the sites do good work, but like earlier in the radio show, I'm talking out something Justin Jefferson related, and I don't have anything written down. I had no intention of this being part of the book of bits. But we're talking about something Spielman, former GM, says about JJ. Nordo brings it up, and then I'm like, well, all right, well, let's think this out a little bit. So if the reports are accurate that the Vikings really offered Justin Jefferson a deal last year that would have made him one or two or whatever of the top paid overall players in the NFL, and he said no, and then now his preferred quarterback is gone, are you sure he wants to play for you?
And that got aggregated, probably.
Yes, whatever that means. I mean, it was picked up by one of the obscure.coms, happens to me all the time. I mean, I'm not going to say I almost lost a friendship, but I spent, and you know what I'm talking about here, I spent 30 minutes in Indianapolis chatting with an NFL friend of mine. About 30 seconds I spent into this microphone saying, I caught wind Sean Payton adores J.J. McCarthy. Okay? Yeah. That's all I said. But then it was aggregated, as you would say. It caught fire with Denver Twitter, with Broncos Twitter. I mean, and I could have, I mean, seriously, I could have 3 conversations that were taking this thing so seriously. And it finally got down to it got down to the same situation I faced a couple of years ago when I caught wind. It might have been before you were here. I caught wind the night before a draft from an unimpeachable source that Aaron Rodgers did not want to play for Green Bay anymore, and he wanted to be traded to San Francisco. All right. I mean, I got so many people calling me on that. Like, where'd you get it from? Stuff like that. I'm gonna share. Come on.
Oh, their national ESPN guy was even going after you about
killing me.
Yeah, just
like he has no idea what he's talking about. Well, when it opted to bear its fruit, the information was 10 of 10, and everybody knows it now. There's somebody who covers the Green Bay Packers for an obscure.com who found my phone number, called me. I didn't take the call because it was a weird number.
Yeah.
All right. I don't like talking on the phone in the first place. So I listened to the message. I called my man back and I said, bro, here's the deal. Okay. I'm going to get a briefcase and put $10,000 in it. And I'd like you to do the same. And I'm driving to Hudson, Wisconsin right now. And you know what I'm going to do? And this may not be great for my career, but I'm going to show you the name and the number of where this information came from. And I'm leaving with your $10,000. Do you want to do it? I'm in, because I'm not driving there to lose, and I don't lie. I used to lie a lot in my life. Now I do my very best to never lie. And I'm not lying here. Never called me back. Never. Gutless pig. Never called me back one time, attacking me like that. Then all of a sudden the rubber meets the road and this fool wants nothing to do with it. You know what I'm saying?
You would have driven. You would have done it?
Yes. Well, that's kind of what's happening here with a lot of the subterfuge season and stuff like that.
Well, you drive to Hudson for $10,000. I mean, that's a foregone conclusion.
I wish people could see the way you were just moving your arms. The problem is...
Well, it got me mad again because there are too many fools like that working in this game these days.
Well, the problem is you used to, it was just newspaper. And so you would just wake up the next day, and the only way you would get your news is if you read the full story and you get all the context. Now on Twitter and some of these sites, you could just see snippets.
Yes.
And
it's creed.
And people, right, exactly. People are bought in 100%.
It's crap.
And to move people off of what they've seen, the impression they've...
Thank you.
It takes so much. And
Thank you.
I'll get stuff sometimes like, you said the Vikings were going to do this. Like, no, I didn't say that, but I'm sure some account tweeted something.
Right.
It is...
Well, how do you handle that?
It just is the environment. And I don't know, how you can, all you can do is, in my job, hopefully people subscribe and you read the full story and you read the full context, and that prevents it. Otherwise, how do you, the other part is just make sure what you're reporting is, it's coming from, like you just said, unimpeachable sources, or else you're not reporting it. That's really it. But it's an impossible thing to flip around. It's an impossible thing to stop. People during this time have reasons to give you certain things to be able to shape the way people are perceiving certain players and what the team might do.
Subterfuge season.
It happens. And you got to be I've said this on these airways before, but it's like you have primary sources and you have secondary sources. And the secondary sources that you used to use for your research paper because they were easier to find, you got to be very careful what you're using and why, and think about those dynamics. But they do exist. Everybody who's in it knows it.
Okay, now what I'm talking about earlier with Jefferson. Now, I can't remember who runs this. Hopefully it's not the person I'm doing a podcast with tomorrow at about 2:00, but it's Vikings Daily. Okay. Now I follow them. They follow me. Never had a problem with anything. I don't know how much I look at it, but nevertheless, I'm following it. If something pops up interesting, I'm in. and it's at Vikings Daily, So, again, off something, I'm not saying I'm spitballing because that would indicate that there's no backbone to it. There's nothing behind it. And I can't say from a Rumorville standpoint there's anything behind what I said. But let's just lay it out this way. Do you believe the Minnesota Vikings made a contract offer to Justin Jefferson somewhere during 2023 that he rejected?
Yes.
Okay, right. That's reports, and you believe that, and you're a well-respected scribe. All right? So then if I say, if that's accurate, and he turned it down, and it would have made him one of the higher-paid players in game or history of game, if he turned that down, who's to say he ain't going to turn the next one down? And then if he says glowing things about the veteran quarterback who goes down Atlanta way, who's to say that that's hunky-dory? I mean, it's fair to speculate that
100%
that he does. So that's
but I will
that's
say,
what I was doing.
I will say,
and I'm like 2 weeks from Thursday. If that's the case, emphasis on if that's the case, you got to think about that 2 weeks from Thursday.
So I'll just say this about Justin, and he spoke glowingly about Kirk multiple times, especially towards the end. And he loves Kirk. I think he really respects Kirk. But I also think Justin is well aware of the business dynamics, roster building. I think he's aware of what they could potentially do with the new guy. And I think part of that excites him for sure. So that what I would say is, I think externally, there's been a lot said about Kirk leaving and how Justin might freak out. Like, I think Justin will be okay ultimately. And and Kevin O'Connell has said, he said in Orlando a couple weeks ago, like he's abreast of what we're thinking of and what we're going to do. That's just the way that Kevin operates. So I wouldn't go crazy about Justin freaking out with
I'm not.
I know.
But I wasn't earlier.
I know you're
but
not.
like the tweet
and you
is
said the word if, which is
PA on the mic today during Vikes Bites on KFAN 103. Opened the door for the first time that Justin Jefferson could be in play to be traded.
Yeah.
Well, no, I didn't.
No.
Okay, with all due respect, no, I didn't.
Right.
Okay, but there's an if. Okay, so technically, it kind of, it's when you got 3 hours to talk, man. Things come out sometimes that unless you hear it in the context of the way it was shared and you just read it, it's not exactly how it was intended. But that's fine. That's our world.
Right.
This day
it's
and
part
age.
of the blend of like.
The scenario.
A radio show is different than a report, but the problem is with the report these days, sometimes there's opinion in it, some column-y aspects to it. It's just not as strict and straight as it used to be, which is just part of the media.
The scenario that could justify the trade is if Justin has been offered a league-leading contract and it was not enough. That coupled with the uncertainty of who will be the Vikings quarterback. What wasn't said was the fact that each year there are more game-changing wide receivers coming out of college that will make it easier not to overpay at the position. Nordo hit on that pretty hard last week. Patriots at 3, Cardinals at 4, Chargers at 5, all need a wide receiver. So yeah, that's context to it. That was kind of shared, but and I have no problem with what I'm reading. I'm not savaging anybody. That's part of my life. Okay. And I don't go into this microphone second guessing what I'm saying or thinking about it because that's just a thing. All of a sudden, the last couple of years, it has been. But I stand by what I say because that's how businesses are run. I don't care how vital the employee is. If the employee will not acquiesce or work fairly with what you believe is a fair contractual situation, and if the employee is disgruntled or in any way malcontent would be too strong, let's just say disgruntled with the situation at quarterback, and I can't say Justin Jefferson is or Justin Jefferson is not, but we also are still gaining past performances on this regime. This regime drew a line in the metaphorical sand, a line of delineation with Cousins. And it's like, we're not going above here. That's abundantly clear, right?
Yeah.
And
I would say
and he's gone.
Over years, they did.
And he's gone.
Yeah.
Okay. So is Kirk as popular as Justin? No. But I'm not mad at a company that recognizes the fluidity of free agency and wide receivers in the draft and and the trends of what's happening. And they have a number and it's on the high end of the negotiating and they ain't going to budge. I'm not mad if somebody operates that way.
Yeah.
Let's unpack that.
Sure,
We got to pause, okay?
Yeah.
Alec Lewis, The Athletic, theathletic.com, at Alec_Lewis. We have a talkback that's going to win tickets to the draft party. More on that around the corner, into the penultimate after that.
If you're listening via the free iHeartRadio app, we want to hear from you. Vikings conversation last segment with Alec Lewis. You were listening to that earlier in the show. JJ related, trade up, trade back, trade nowhere related opinions. Send us your talkbacks. You just hit that microphone on the free iHeartRadio app. Give us up to your best 30 seconds. The reason you do that is we're going to pick Talkback of the Day during the final segment, and you can win a pair of passes to the Miller Lite Vikings draft party. So you can go to KFAN.com, keyword contest for more info. The draft coverage on the Fan is presented locally by Pep's Draft House Pizza. Give me them talkbacks. And next segment, I'm going to pick a winner.
With whom did you watch Iowa, South Carolina?
Yesterday?
Yeah.
By myself. Why? I really wanted just a quiet Sunday, and I did it perfectly. Woke up, got my preferred coffee, got back, took a nap, did some transcribing, worked out, and then just hung out last night. It was perfectly what I wanted.
Like the Super Bowl, by yourself.
No.
You watch every big sporting event by yourself.
Did I watch the Super Bowl? I don't think I watched the Super Bowl by myself.
You did, Alec. How long you been here?
A year and a half, 2 years.
Year and a half?
This is emotional. It is. I mean, you're making me feel bad. I've been busy.
3-2.
I was busy Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Of course you were.
Yeah.
What were you going to share before I missed the straddle by 3 minutes?
Something about Justin?
Yeah.
I don't know. What were we talking about? I mean,
aggregating?
Oh, I mean, yeah. I don't. Hopefully, I don't say something that gets aggregated. In my opinion,
who cares?
Just
be accurate.
No, that's correct. No, in my opinion, Justin Jefferson, the Vikings want to sign him. They know it's going to cost the moon, sun, and stars. And ultimately, I think when you have a young quarterback, which I believe the Vikings will have, it's going to be important to have a guy that they can throw to who you can trust at all times.
Like Jordan Addison.
Not fully like Jordan Addison.
Okay.
A guy who wears 18 has a little more full to him, in my opinion.
Yeah. And having both would be great.
Yeah, it would. And TJ Hawkinson, you heard that they have him too.
Yeah, but I also know about his knee, and there's no timetable for return. I would assume it'd be beginning of the season. Not sure.
I don't. They're gonna. I mean, because of the investment they made in him, they're going to play it very smart. I think it's possible, but I don't think anybody within that building really knows at this very moment if he's going to be ready by then, but that would probably be the preferred option.
What did you think of former general manager Rick Spielman and the podcast nugget that the Vikings will overpay for J.J. McCarthy, and then him writing, what choice do they have?
I mean,
I didn't like the what choice do they have. Because that diminishes quarterbacks past the 4 in what's widely considered to be maybe one of the deepest quarterback drafts in the history of the NFL. What if you are a personnel person or a coach with the Vikings who thinks Penix can be a star? And that so
and what choice do they have has anything to do with the previous regime and our connection to Kirk and all of those things? In some ways, the Vikings are handcuffed in certain spots, like. You know, people are down on the O-line. O-line's less secure than the southern border. Well, okay, the previous regime had something to do with that. And as it pertains to the quarterback conversation, I think someone could take that leap as well.
Yeah.
The decisions made 5-6 years ago are now placed at the feet of Kwesi. So that's where I'm coming from with that statement myself.
If I'm reading what choice do they have, and I'm O'Connell, I'm like, okay, well, I guess unless it's one of these 4, you're just kind of indicating that no matter who I take over the course of time, I can't develop.
I mean, I give Rick Spielman credit because he's doing the media thing.
It's the bomb.
I mean, he made a headline. Congrats, you've made it in the media. No, I mean, I don't really believe that you can overpay for a quarterback if you hit on the right guy, which means you got to hit on the right guy, which is obvious, and everybody knows this. So the work that Kevin O'Connell has done the last 2 weeks and will do throughout the next 2 weeks is going to be gigantically important to the future of this regime. We know this. It's obvious. It could be J.J. McCarthy, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Jordan Travis. I don't really care who it is. If the guy doesn't hit and you're not developing that guy optimally, then it's probably not going to work. When I saw that tweet or whatever, his comment, I mean, I gave the Brandon Beane quote, which Brandon Beane at the Combine talked about Josh Allen and trading up for Josh Allen. He said, quote, "We got criticized for how much we gave up for Josh." And I'm like, if he doesn't work out, I'm not going to be here. And if he does work out, nobody is going to give up.
Yep.
That's the situation. And now you can say J.J. McCarthy may not be the level of Josh Allen. That's fine. But if they're going to trade up for a quarterback, they're going to do it hoping that the guy ends up being a franchise guy. And in that situation, if he becomes that, you're not overpaying.
I have a question for you when we return.
Okay.
What if somebody was provided a smoke screen intentionally and from the inside? Back after this.
I can't wait until tomorrow. 'Cause tomorrow might very well be too late. I can't wait until tomorrow. 'Cause tomorrow could never come. I know it could end any minute, but I pray tomorrow comes. But it could be too late. I'm ready to smile, but for a long while wouldn't take much to get me down. I love my mother.
All right. Trap party comps. What you got over there?
Thanks again for all those that tune in to the and use via the free iHeartRadio app the opportunity to send us, as I'm trying to find. Here we go. I got the name now. This is perfect. So the talkback of the day is going to get a pair of tickets to go to the Miller Lite draft party, and that's coming up 2 weeks from Thursday. All you do, you hit that microphone, you give us our best 30 seconds, and here's Joe with the talkback of the day.
Hey, me boy. You know, if we're in love with the quarterback that we're able to trade up and get, I really like the idea of giving Flores some toys. D-tackle, Cooper DeJean. Maybe take a flyer on Joe Milton in the late round or trade back up for a quarterback if O'Connell likes one. And I heard Darnold has a cannon.
Not being able to trade up, giving Flores some toys. Joe Milton.
No.
Darnold has a cannon.
We'll see you at the draft party.
He's going to go to the draft party, and it's great that Joe's going to go because we won't take Joe Milton. We're going to trade up and get a QB on Thursday night.
What if what Spielman shared on the CBS podcast? What if it's a smokescreen from inside? Shh. Not being told exactly what the team would give, but shh, McCarthy's the guy. And it's not McCarthy. So, and then he goes out and does that. What if it's a smokescreen?
I'm sure I know he still has friends within the front office, but does he really need to be doing favors for the other executive?
What if he doesn't know it's a favor? Because he's very close with George Payton, the GM for the Broncos. So maybe he thinks inherently he's doing somebody a solid.
Yeah.
Well, it's subterfuge season. It's fair for me to talk about that.
But this is part of I was, when I hosted the show last week, I said something that I was told by an AFC executive who I really trust, good friend. I've known him for a while, way before I covered.
How is Tom Dimitroff? I haven't talked to him in a long time.
But I said something there. He's like, I haven't really heard anybody who says J.J. McCarthy should be a top 10 pick.
Andrew Barry looks at it that way, even though they have Deshaun Watson.
I did talk to Andrew recently, but this was not that. It wasn't for that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so I said that, and then I'm like, and people are like, "Oh, there's got to be a reason." I'm like, "No, I just known this guy. He's not messing with me." But no, I guess you're right to probably assume, and for me, that there is, or not assume, but to think that there could be dynamics at play for people to say certain things. I don't know. For all of what is said over the next 2 weeks and what has been said, again, I think if you distill it pretty evenly, it's this. The Vikings want to trade up to get their quarterback of the future. And that's just the reality. If they're not able to do that, then the guy mentioned toys for Brian Flores. There's going to be a lot of defensive players available from 11 to 20. You could do that. You could also, if you believe highly.
What's so funny?
Just a smile.
Yeah, I don't know why you're
It's
laughing.
the smile,
but
man.
it doesn't have to be more complicated than that. And Kevin O'Connell is going to do his evaluation,
Yeah.
and whoever he probably prefers over anybody else, that's what they're going to try to do.
Yeah.
And we can complicate it, and I could give you J.J. McCarthy, Drake May. Oh, what about their footwork? All this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, whoever Kevin O'Connell prefers, he probably knows more about quarterbacks than anybody on the outside analyzing them, and so that's
seeing you.
The nature of it.
Elite work last week. Thank you very much.
No, thanks for having me. It was fun.
Let me close with a question before we put a wrap on the show.
Okay. Uh-oh.
Does working under center and turning it into a play action play, does that matter in the NFL? Yes or no?
Yeah, it does.
He's JJ. We'll talk tomorrow. Wrap on the show.
And thanks to Casey's for bringing you the wraps, whether it's the rewards program, saving on food and fuel, it's the elite pizza. Stop into a Casey's today, please. Tight shoes, gotta shove the heel in, fitting like a glove. The Mike and Rick Spielman. Trading up, trading out, we're doing the hokey pokey. Merrill Hodge thinks Drake May's game. Well, it's hokey. We love the NFL draft for a reason. We are shooting from the lips. It is subterfuge season. Draft party's a hoot. If it lives up to the hype, goes wrong. PA wishing he was hosting via Skype. And we're all still in awe of Caitlin Clark. Polarizing reaction intrigues me. It's quite stark. All the girls, my kids, falling in love with hoops. The bitterness and vitriol by those like Cheryl Swoops. And you got the Wolves, they win kind of a thud. Twins offense, nothing short of a dud. The wild season ending with a whimper, though. But hey, tune in tomorrow at 9. We got another show.
He's JJ.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.